Did she say give her 5 more minutes?
5 seconds.
Okay. Good morning. It's Wednesday, March 8th at 9:35 a.m., and this is the monthly meeting of the Council on Aging Board. The board adheres to the open meeting law, and Robert's Rules of Order are followed during these meetings. I'm Jean Campanello, chairperson of the board. In attendance are Holly Luke, director of the Senior Center, Renee D'Argento, outreach coordinator, and board members Judy Goodstein, vice chair, Alex Roman, Mino Sharma, and Aram Subramonian. Our first order of agenda this morning is to review and accept the February 23rd minutes of the meeting. Do I have a motion on that?
I'll move to accept.
Are there any, is there a second?
Yeah.
Any comments, admissions, deletions? Yes, Judy?
The minutes need to specify what documents were referred to. And I don't believe they do. Are you looking at January 11?
I'm looking at the February.
Okay, hang on. Yeah, I don't believe they do.
So what we have included in our packet is the revised minutes of the January meeting that we looked at last time and made revisions to. But we had already accepted those revisions. I don't believe we need a motion to review those again.
I agree, but no, I'm looking at the February 8.
Okay?
Yeah, we need to specify what documents were reviewed at the meeting.
I'm sorry?
The minutes need to specify what documents were reviewed by the board at the meeting. My suggestion is, at the top, that you just make it part of the template, that it be just part of the template. It says, where it says present and who's present and the meeting was recorded, right under that, just add that whoever is recording the minutes, just add a section saying documents reviewed and list the documents, and then it'll be on the template and it'll be remembered and it'll be in there for the future. That's my suggestion.
Okay.
But these minutes need to be revised to include that.
Who is doing minutes for today's meeting?
Lori Jones will be reviewing the YouTube video after today's meeting.
Okay. So your addition is to identify the documents that were
Correct.
Reviewed?
Correct.
Okay. That will be noted. Do I have a motion to accept the meetings as amended?
So moved.
So moved?
Yeah.
All in favor? Opposed? So moved. All right, next on the agenda, is there anyone here from the Friends?
I am.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name's Daniel Cardinale. I live on Gates Road.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Would you like to share with us any current?
We have several activities planned. We have something on the 20th for where we have a band coming in that will play Irish tunes. And then further on, we have something scheduled for April, and that will be our belly dancer. We'll have someone coming in.
Uh-huh.
That will be for our seniors and stuff, that sort of thing. What else would you like to know?
We just wanted to make sure that you had an opportunity to share with the board and for the board to share with you if there were any issues that needed to be identified or discussed or.
No,
we
so
had
far so
talked-
good.
I'm sorry.
So far, we're doing good, well.
Okay, we had talked at our last monthly meeting about perhaps doing a collaborative kind of event with, or talking about collaborating with the Friends about doing events. And I didn't know if there was anything that you wanted to address on that issue.
So far, we're doing well. We are working with Holly to make sure that both of us are coordinating our events. Holly has
Terrific.
asked for information from us, we've provided it, and Holly's given us information as far as what's upcoming from her end. So we're working together.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Financial reports. Holly.
I'm going to start with, as we always do, any questions on any of the financial reports? And if so, please let me know which form you're looking at. There's one with the COA March budget line items, which shows everything that has been spent, and then the COA account totals, and I can read those off. So people at home, my eyes are not the way they used to be. So it appears as though our general fund operating budget, total budget left, or balance, is $11,419.99.
Which form are you looking and where?
So I am looking at the totals one, not the line item one.
Hang on. The COA account totals?
Yes.
Okay.
For the formula grant, we have $74,371.76.
Sorry to interrupt, Holly. Which page number are you on?
So I'm on the form of COA account totals, and I am now on page 2. Where you see the total, the highlighted item that says total Council on Aging OPEX is the operating. So $11,419.99 is the balance. Scrolling down to page 3, for the formula grant, the total balance is $74,371.76. Scrolling down to page 5, the total gift fund balance is $20,471.86. And last but not least, our revolving fund is $22,730.82. Is there any questions
There
on
are.
this form or the other form?
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm sorry, were you gonna,
Go ahead.
okay. The last column is the percent used. Is that, can you just explain what that?
I'm not sure about the percent used, as, you know, as we've talked about before. The columns that I pay close attention to are the balance and the expenditure part.
Well, sorry. So do we know what that percent used represents?
I do not.
Okay, thanks.
So I just want to explain how, and I know we've talked about this a couple of times. So when I go into Munis, I'm not the accounting expert by far for using the software.
Right.
So eliminating certain columns is not easy, although I have been able to work with accounting to reduce it down to simplify it as much as I possibly can. And again, I apologize that it's not even simpler than this between other priorities and deadlines. I did want to make sure that I was able to share this part and the light item part. And I think for April and going forward, I'll be able to give the board just the totals, so it won't show all of the other part, which I think is important to the accounting department, but not so much us.
Okay.
I have a question on the formula grant. Is that the Elders Affairs grant?
It is.
Okay, so I thought last meeting you indicated that we had used up our funding for this fiscal year.
No, what I explained,
Which would have included the monies for the YWCA component.
so that's for the fiscal year '24. So fiscal year '24, for the formula grant that we'll end up getting from the state is $79,000, I think $83. So we'll end up getting that. I've already expensed that for fiscal year '24, but that does not include anything that we carry over because I don't know what we're carrying over yet.
Okay.
So it will be a larger amount that gets carried into fiscal '24. So the fiscal '24, like I said, when you look at all of the lines that we're going to budget, which is the part-time salaries, some of the software things that we have, some supplies, that for fiscal year '24 is expended. But we will most certainly have carryover. And I just want to touch base on the email that I sent out, and Judy, I did just forward you a copy of it again, that the state has recognized that communities and towns and cities are in need of additional funding. So they are looking to take the $12 per senior and make it $14 per senior, which means an additional $20,000 for our COA for fiscal year '24. So the formula grant right now for fiscal year '24 is budgeted at the usual total balance, not if it grows again, okay?
That was my question. Does Arun?
No, Holly, you've been planning to kind of walk us through this document.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a broader request would be, I'm certain there is someone who is an expert in this within the town. Can they come here, spend like 30 minutes and walk us through the whole process, how it is put together, so collectively we can learn and be better prepared for future meetings?
So what I want to do going forward is eliminate all of the extra things that you see. I don't think that it's necessary to pull another person from another department for an hour or whatever it is to explain the portions of the documents that you're seeing out of Munis that really they're not, I don't want to say they're not important to us, but for us, as Judy pointed out, what is the percentage? The percentage part, I believe, is for like the accounting department, the treasurer's department. So my goal is to eliminate all of the background things that you see that really aren't pertinent to us.
Well, I think the percentage might be pertinent, because I think it's the percentage, the amount we budgeted for the year, the amount we've used, if we've used 50%, and I think that, I'm looking at it, that seems to be what it indicates, and that might be a useful, a useful statistic. If we're halfway through the year and we've used 50%, then we're on budget. If we're 10% through the fiscal year and we've used, 90%, then that's something maybe we have to track. So actually, I think that I just figured it out, that I believe is what percentage used is, and I actually think that's a useful statistic.
So I would also like to remind the board that I gave you an Excel spreadsheet that shows where all of the expenses would be for FY '24. So if I put $1,000 for supplies, I need to make sure that I stay within the $1,000 of the supplies. So each month when I'm doing the expenditures, I look at the balance to make sure that I don't go over. This year, it's been a little easier, we'll say, because I've been able to utilize the formula grant more so. So the COA department will end up giving monies back to the general fund for the town to use and allocate wherever they need. I can certainly have a conversation with accounting. I do not want to speak for them that they can make it to the next meeting, but I will update the board.
Alex?
I think if you just asked them to give you a sentence or two on each of the headings, that would be sufficient to get us in the right direction. But I agree with Judy that it would be useful to make sure we understand the percent used. Is that what's already encumbered against the available budget? That seems like it'd be a pretty straightforward answer.
One more thing I wanted to request, like if it is possible to somehow document these, so in future if another board member comes, you do not have to struggle so much we're not a good student, as you can see, comes to accounting. So if someone else comes, you can just hand over to them that, and you don't have to waste so much energy again.
So that is why I share the documents on the Google Drive. So I transfer over every single document to the COA board information share drive. So all of that information, should one of you leave, the next board member comes in, I share that drive. So they can go in and they can find all of the documents. So I'm not exactly doing what you're suggesting, is going back and redoing all the work that we've already done.
Other questions or comments? Thank you, Holly. Director's report, Renee?
Hello, hello, everyone. So we have a lot going on at the senior center and a lot of programs upcoming that I want to highlight. But first, just want to mention that we're almost through into the heating season. Share the Warmth applications were submitted to Selco on March 1st. We had over 50 applications. And for SMOC, for the fuel assistance, the deadline on that is April 30th. And thus far, we have over 60 applications. And both of those have doubled since last year. Additionally, as far as programs are concerned, we started a new caregiver support group with Walter Rice, and that's every Thursday between 10 and 11 o'clock in the morning. And we're also, a couple of programs I want to highlight. We're working with SYFS, Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services, to conduct programs and outreach together. And they have a counselor doing art therapy on Thursday, April 6th from 9 to 10. And as they provide the art supplies, you don't have to be a really good artist. It's just basically as you're discussing things that are important to you, they're going to be focusing on emotion, identification, and expression through colors that day. We're also partnering with the Registry of Deeds and Probate Court. We're going to have the two registrars of deeds and of the probate court. They're going to talk about land ownership and how probate issues can legally affect what happens to your property. So that should be really interesting for people. They're going to provide introductory information and resources, and they're going to go do an overview of deeds, homesteads, trusts, and estates. Also, we're going to have this month on March 20th, which is coming up quickly, from 12:30 to 1:30, Massachusetts EDP is going to be doing a presentation on adaptive telephone equipment. And for seniors who have a disability such as low vision or deaf or hard of hearing, cognitive issues, they can be provided a telephone that can help them be able to communicate with others. And actually, what's really great about this program is they go to the senior's house and they set the whole thing up for them so that there's no mystery, and they show them how to use it. So that's coming up. I hope that people will attend, and all of these are being videotaped. Also, we're working on our pet health fair. So some of you may remember when we did the town-wide survey of senior households. We surveyed 5,500 households. We had 1,400 responses, and 484 of those respondents have pets. So I thought a pet fair would be really great. And also, a lot of seniors who are struggling to feed themselves also struggle to feed their pets. So we're having a pet collection box at the senior center for seniors in need, as well as for Second Chance Animals. Second Chance Animals is the feature at the Pet Health Fair. We're going to have 2 mobile units that we are providing free wellness exams for low-income seniors for their pets, as well as immunizations. And there's also an adoption unit for those who are considering adopting a shelter pet. We're also going to have pet services, home sitting, vet clinics, a dog trainer, different services around those items. So for the seniors who need transportation, we will have transportation for those with their pets to bring them to the senior center so that they can, get their pets evaluated. And also that day, we're going to have a couple of presentations. I have Foster Parrots Unlimited. They're going to be presenting at 1 o'clock inside Room B. They're going to talk about the plight of wild parrots in captivity. They have a sanctuary there where they foster pets that have been given up, and they also try to adopt them. We're also having Raptor Tales Rescue of Shrewsbury come and present at 2 o'clock, and Jess George is going to talk about how she rehabilitates raptors such as hawks and owls and things like that. So it's going to be a very interesting kind of thing for everybody. I think that's it.
Are there any questions, Alex?
So, this is a pretty extensive list of needs. If someone just wanted to contribute cash, how would they do that? Or can you only accept supplies?
So if you wanted to contribute cash if it was to Second Chance Animals, you could always write a check to them. For seniors in need, if you wanted to have us purchase pet food or supplies or anything like that, you can submit a check to the Senior Center Care of Outreach, and we could use that money to purchase.
Great, thank you.
Yep. Oh, and I'm also working on a couple of other programs going into the summer and fall. One is I'm working with our police department. We have a shiny new safety complex, and they have rooms where they can conduct programs in the community. So I'm looking to have a RAD program for seniors. RAD stands for Rape, Aggression, Defense. And the RAD program is typically conducted out of police departments. These are officers who are trained to help people understand how to avoid being assaulted and how to do defense moves to avoid that sort of thing. And these programs are not, they have different groups that they focus on. I've taken a RAD program at UMass Lowell when I was there for women. It's really helpful, and sometimes you want to take it again because you forget. But they also have one that focuses on seniors, so we're going to look to have that in the future. A second program I'm working on for September is I've contacted University of Massachusetts Extension, and UMass Extension under the USDA does nutrition education out in the community. So we're going to be conducting a 4-week series of different kinds of nutrition programs for seniors, and it will involve they will have a cooking demonstration, and there'll be a tasting. Recipes are given out, simple recipes and nutrition information, and there'll be focuses on things such as whole grains, fruits and vegetables, shopping, shopping for your kitchen in preparation for planning, and creating balanced meals and things like that. So it'll be fun.
Sounds great.
Yeah. So that's it.
When the program that the police department will conduct in conjunction with the senior center, will that be at the police department?
It will, yes. They have the facility there.
Okay. And do you have any idea of when that might occur?
They're actually looking to see who they have certified to teach the program. Usually there are 2 instructors, and officer, actually now Lieutenant Jason Palmetier is the person I'm working with on a number of things, recently promoted to lieutenant. So now that they have the facility and they've moved in, and that was a big process. They're starting to work on that. So I would imagine the fall.
How long a course is it, Renee?
It can be in either 1 or 2 sessions. Most likely it would be 2 sessions. I don't remember the number of hours over the course of a few hours.
Terrific.
Yeah, yeah.
Other comments, questions?
Just related to the pet fair, is the featured services like pet portraits, trainer, are these like paid by COA?
No, they come for free. We ask for a $25 donation to help defray some of the expenses of holding the fair, just like we did with the health fair in the past.
Excuse me. Can you mention what we are paying for, so the board's aware of the expenses for what we are paying for?
Yes, so Holly has very generously given a budget of $2,000 for the event out of the formula grant, and that will be covering mostly the mobile units. So each mobile unit, which will be there for 4 hours between 11 and 3, the cost of that mobile unit is $150 an hour. And so it's $600 for each mobile unit, but on top of that, in order to provide the free pet examinations and immunizations for low-income seniors, we have partnered with Second Chance Animals to provide funds, matching funds to their grant to provide this.
Judy?
Yeah, the health fair, the pet health fair sounds great. I'm looking forward to it. One question about it, I assume it's an outdoor event?
It is,
All
yes.
these people's
Yep.
pets? Do we have a rain date?
No rain date. No,
Okay.
it's going to, because
Rain
it's a lot to organize for the mobile units, and the hospital has to have staff to cover both places, and
Yep.
so, yeah.
Okay.
Do you need volunteers for that?
At some point, I'll be reaching out for volunteers. I don't expect I'll need any more than 4 volunteers. I have 2 who have approached me at the senior center to help out, and I may need 2 more. And mainly, again, most likely help a little bit with parking, but also for seniors who are coming with their pets. In order for them to use the facility, like the restrooms or get water, we'll need volunteers to help hold and contain their pets while they go in to the center, because they can't bring them in unless you have a service animal. Of course, you're allowed to do that.
I'll volunteer for that.
Okay, thank you.
Seriously.
All right, thank you, Renee. You've been busy.
Thank you.
Oh, I wanted to ask you about the Mass Challenge. Have you had any interest in that?
The walking challenge.
Yeah.
So last year it didn't go as we thought. We had only 9 registered people, and 2 of them won prizes. And I should mention that the Friends had actually offered a Fitbit to one who received from that Mass Challenge, and we also had Joe Fish, who offered a fitness package, and that person received that fitness package. But again, we only had 9 people, and it could be that a change from the prior years. They had people do things online and not submit it on paper. I haven't looked into it this year. If that has changed, where people can submit something on paper, maybe that would increase the participation. But I really marketed that, and I was just surprised that we had such a small response.
Thank you. Okay.
How long was the walk for?
So they had 3 different challenges that you could put in for your walk or for whatever physical activity you were doing, and then you would, track that online. And I think they're trying to appeal to everyone, but, for the lowest challenge, you could, potentially walk for either the amount of minutes or the amount of miles if you wish. So,
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
The next item on the agenda, the Activities Committee. Arun?
Hello, everyone. So Betsy and I have been working on coming up with a list of activities that would be helpful for seniors. So Betsy initially had reached out to you, Jean, to get some ideas, and then we brainstormed. And then Holly was kind enough to spend some time with us. So we have a really good list, and I think we looked at it through three kind of framework. One is like financial wellness, meaning and purpose, and health, and came up with a list of a lot of wonderful ideas. And our next steps are I want to kind of get some inputs, like how we solicit some inputs from the board, how best we could do that. Reach out to the friends, and also Betsy and I, we talked about maybe getting some inputs from seniors so we could finalize a list and come back and present it here. So open to ideas whether it makes sense for the board to participate as part of some brainstorming exercise. And Holly had highlighted that requires some advanced setting, 48-hour notice, all of that. Or we could post this thing in a common folder and you could add to this list. That's another way of doing it. Just open to other ideas. And in early March, we are meeting with the friends so that we could get some ideas from them and also figure out how to execute on these many wonderful suggestions and thoughts that are here.
So if you're meeting with the Friends in early March, perhaps at our next meeting, we could have something that would indicate what your categories are and how we can help or increase specific activities within those categories. Yeah.
What I can do is I can make a folder, an activities committee folder, that anybody can go in and put in documents, and I'll include the friends. All I'll need is a couple of emails of, I wouldn't give me the emails of everybody in your group, but maybe 2 or 3. That way friends will be able to see what we're doing. You can also add things in and we can share, and then before we have each a monthly agenda meeting, we can kind of condense them all to have the conversation.
That sounds good. And Jane, we are planning to meet, I think, in first week in April or
Okay.
April, yeah. First or
think-
second week in April.
I
sorry.
think it would be helpful to have something in writing so that we can identify where you are looking for more ideas or where you need to look at some financial issues, or just to have more structure.
Definitely. So we could post it as Holly. Holly, I think you have the up-to-date file, I think, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
so we could post it.
And anything that every time that you and Betsy meet or whomever you meet with, you can add it right up there.
It's open and anyone can contribute or add to the list as well.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Next on the agenda is the February congregate meals update. I know, Holly, you sent something giving us the data for it, but the data I got was for January,
And
not February.
Yeah, and I apologize. ESWA sent me the same one twice, and I neglected to even see that it was January, but I do have the update that I can tell you that for congregate dining for the month of February, we did 277 meals at $2.50, which equals up to $692.50.
So that's the same as January?
Yes, it's very similar. And so then we are also doing the month of March, and then we'll be done
Okay.
for the time frame.
Is there anything being planned for St. Patrick's Day?
There is not. This year, what we did to make sure that, because we were talking about activities to use the formula grant to expense for the Council on Aging Department, what I decided was that we did the Valentine's meals, which we had never done before, and I'm happy to report, we had 55 people come, and one of the things that I'm starting to notice is that people are sticking around. There was no entertainment for this particular one, and it got to the point where we actually had to ask people or tell people that they had to leave because we had another thing shortly thereafter. But again, what we're noticing for all of the months of congregate dining, as we've supported those meals, people are actually staying beyond 12:30. Usually they're gone. So it's nice. We're noticing friendships being made. There's a lot more, we've had a lot more volunteers or people wanting to volunteer come forward since we've done the congregate dining. So it is definitely something that I think that the board, we should consider to do each winter that gets people out of their homes. It's definitely been a positive approach to, isolation, nutrition, and things like that.
And is the money for this coming from the formula grant?
Yes.
So when you talked about utilizing all of the 24 formula grant, if we wanted to continue it next winter, would it come out of the following years?
So it would depend on what we carry over from FY '23, and it would also depend on if the state moves forward and accepts the EOEA's proposal to go from $12 a senior to $14. So there's definitely going to be some monies there that we'll be able to expense toward this. I'm just not sure how much. So we'll have to look again by July 1st.
Okay. Next on the agenda is the Finance Committee budget hearing.
So I just wanted to remind everybody that we have the Finance Committee budget meeting, and it is, I just want to make sure it is on March 23rd. The meeting itself starts at 6. We're scheduled to present at 7:50, I believe it is. So what I would do is I would highly recommend any board members that can be present for this be there by 7:15, just to give or take. So please bring a water. And basically what that opportunity is to come and show support of the COA department and the FY '24 budget, what we're asking for. And just in case there are any questions from the Finance Committee that, somebody might want to speak on. I don't remember what they do from the general public point of view. But it's nice to have everybody there. And what I'm planning on doing, unlike what I did last year, because I couldn't see everybody behind me, I'll introduce myself and then I'll ask each board member to introduce themselves. Okay?
Judy?
That's it. That's in this room?
In this room,
Thank
yes.
Formula grant, FY '23 formula grant expenditure ideas is our next agenda item.
If it's okay, I'd like to just go to 2 other things before we get into the formula grant expenditure, because I know that it's going to be a lengthy conversation.
Okay.
I did want to update the board and the community that we are in second interviews for Assistant Council on Aging Director. Those are happening this week. So we are hoping that we have a candidate by the end of this week, and I will keep the board updated on Friday with that. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that beginning either the end of this month or very beginning part of April, the town will be removing the old police station, which means parking is going to be limited over at the senior center, and I believe this is the east parking lot of the town hall. So we'll be monitoring some of the events that are happening. The town is aware that Renee's having the pet fair. We're hoping, the town is hoping that it doesn't negatively impact the farmer's market. The police station should be gone by then, before it even starts. So I just wanted to make everybody aware of that, so I didn't forget, okay? So, finally, FY '23 formula grant expenditure ideas. So, the few listed here, we have a strategic plan consultant, a marketing consultant, a community garden and / supplies and or an outdoor gym. This does not include the topics that Arun and Betsy have spoken about. I do want to just remind everybody that on Monday, March 13th, from 10 to 12 at the Senior Center, I put some space aside in the conference room for people to come to talk about the community garden. I have had 3 different design companies from Shrewsbury come to take a look at the space, to kind of hear the thoughts that I had, making sure that the garden would be ADA compliant. What would the maintenance be in, 5 to 10 years? Fencing, things like that. I have received 1 bid so far, but I'm still waiting on the other 2, so we can take that. And the other thing I did ask was that they put things kind of off to the side as add-ons. Like, let's just say we wanted to add lights or whatever, like what would that cost? So I know it's taking them a while to put it together, but I'm very confident with the design landscapers that I've met with, that they'll be able to give us something concrete to look at, so we can kind of piecemeal it to what it exactly is that we want. So that's all I have to say for that, and then I'm welcoming a conversation with the board so we can talk about other opportunities.
What's the total amount of money that's available?
So taking away what for the assistant positions are for the salary, we have approximately right now $57,000.
Between now and,
So between now and
July.
June 30th, yeah.
That has to be expended before June 30th.
It can't-
Or allocated.
It can be expended. So again, for EOEA has allowed us to carry over funds from the formula grant where they didn't before. So, but what I want to do is make sure that we get it down to as close to 0 as we can, so the state can see that Shrewsbury's doing something for their Shrewsbury seniors. So it could be multiple projects. When I spoke with the landscape designers, I asked them if they could give us anything from $0 to $40,000. And so we can kind of, again, look at it, do add-ons, take things off that we don't think that we might need. And we can fit other things in. Maybe we don't do a community garden and we have a conversation where we need other funds. I very strongly suggest that we look into a strategic plan consultant. I did reach out to the Shrewsbury Town Library. They did share their consultant with us that we could use going forward. The present strategic plan that the COA has does end, the dates are from 2019 to 2023, so it is time for us to move forward with that.
Judy?
yeah, there were a few more ideas that, well, one thing that's important to me is that we start or attempt to reach out to the transitional seniors, which are people that are maybe still working but are over 55. And one way to do that is to have activities that are in the evening or at least the late afternoon, which we don't have. I know Holly had mentioned in the past that there's a problem with paying, extra overtime, et cetera, which we could do with the grant money. So that's one of my suggestions, is that we plan a few programs for evening, whether it's a game night, something like that, for evening hours, and use the formula grant money for that. The second thing was, I think a couple of people suggested pickleball. The town actually built pickleball courts last fall. They're going to open in the spring, so we don't need to spend the money to build a court. But we might want to. It's a very well, it's all ages, but it's seniors. It's an activity that seniors can engage in, and again, it kind of hits that transitional group a little bit better. So I was thinking perhaps we could have, not a workshop, instruction. Yeah, lessons. Yeah.
So can I touch on that part? So this Friday, I'm actually meeting with the new Parks and Recreation Director, Laurel Rossiter. I'm probably not saying her last name correct, but that is something I can definitely bring up, that even if we don't put that on, I can let her know that we're looking to have some kind of instruction for the transitional seniors, if Parks and Recreation wouldn't mind doing that.
Yeah, if they can, I'm not sure how that, what you mean, how that would be, how we would collaborate with them.
So, well, for that part, it would be marketing and advertising, but if that's something, because the pickleball courts actually fall under Parks and Recreation, so not knowing what their schedule or agenda is, I could speak with her and just let her know that if it's possible for Parks and Recreation to incorporate that into the
Okay.
following year, or this coming spring, summer, and fall, that we'd appreciate it, and then that way we can assist in the marketing part of that.
Oh, okay, great, thanks.
Holly, I have a question about funding during the evening hours, because we've talked in the past about the inability to do overtime. How would we fund programs that are after hours?
So again, it would be pretty much similar to what we did, and I'll use the Spirit of Shrewsbury again. So if there was something that we did in the evening hours, it would have to be one of the current employees, the COA employees being there, which alters their weekly schedule. So I have been working with the town manager's office, letting them know that we would like the opportunity to at least do a pilot program for 6 months, or to see if people would come. But we would need an additional staff member in order to make that work.
Renee?
Yes, I think when we were talking about different ways to use the formula grant, initially, Holly and I were talking about an activities coordinator who could be a part-timer, who could arrange for activities in the evening and on the weekends. And I hope that we can still maybe consider that in the near future.
I think that's a great
That'd
idea.
be great,
I
yeah.
think that's an excellent suggestion, but
Good
again, I'm going back to how do we fund the overtime?
So there really isn't. I can't imagine asking my staff to work overtime if they don't want to. Same
Right.
with myself. As far as the hiring another person, whether we have the funds or not through formula grant, that has to be something that's approved by the town manager's office. But if that's something that the board would like me to pursue, it is definitely a proposal that I could sign up, that I could send Kevin to look at. I would just need some more concrete ideas and expectations of what we would be doing in those evenings. Like we really need an outline or a plan before we just say, okay, we want to hire somebody, but okay, what are the hours going to be? What are the expectations? And so forth and so on. And I would request some help from the board in order to do that.
Alex?
I actually would think the evening hours would be a big help, and maybe if it were just even one day a month. I mean, the library, I go to the library all the time in the evening, and it can be pretty busy up till maybe the last hour, I guess. But especially if you're trying to attract people working, and there's a lot of seniors working well into their, the years that would be our target years for our services and our programs. So, it would be a cost, but maybe with the added formula grant money or with the added EOA money, you could look into doing that.
It's absolutely a possibility. Again, it would take, I would request that we start perhaps putting together an outline of expectations. I would think that having at least one night a week, say we're open until 7 o'clock, maybe that is the hours of the person we hire. One of the things that I can tell you that we as a town collectively have noticed is that when we put out like positions for part-timers, it's like we get 100 of them, and they're not all suitable. So we need to have like really specific things that we're looking for so we can kind of weed out the resumes.
Is there a form or a template of some sort that you can provide that shows what you would have to provide to the town?
So, yes, and I think one of I think what would help a lot would be for us to be very creative in our request of what we're looking for. Because it will first take some time to market and advertise the fact that we would be open a particular night, later. And then we also have to prepare for what happens if that person goes on vacation, or gets sick. Who's going to then therefore keep the center open, which could be it's another problem in its own.
Okay, but you said you were requesting board input for something to submit to the
Yes.
town. We need a starting, we need some guideline template, form, something.
Well, since this would be a new position, it would be something that we have to create. So I don't have something that would, I could reach out to other council and aging departments or senior centers to see if they have part-time activity coordinators, to see how they move forward and to see what they do
I
in
just
case
want to
somebody.
see, I would like to see how they put the job description in, just what, have we submitted anything similar to the town in the past for any other positions that we've had? When we added an assistant, we must have,
Yes, that's already created, but we're not only making a new job, we're adjusting the senior center hours. So we need to be able to include that. That's the problematic part, is developing an outline for that, and we don't have that right now.
So if we had senior center, if we had a part-time activities director, and there were evening activities at the senior center, would we then need an additional staff member to cover the logistics of opening, closing, and maintaining the senior center?
So any person that is hired by the town, being an employee for the COA department, could go in and open and close the facility just as we do now. It's the problem, again, that we have to consider if that person doesn't come in, or let's just say that person quits, then what? Because then it falls on the responsibility of the remaining staff, and that won't work.
Judy?
well, I understand that, but I think that's putting the cart before the horse, seeing the problems before the actually, attempt to hire a person. If you're requesting board input, I think, I'm willing to take a look at it and come up with a draft of something, but I need at least some sort of would it be possible for you to share with me the, whatever documents you submitted to the town when you suggested hiring an assistant manager?
Yeah, I mean, the town actually gave me.
Leaving out, white out the salary, I don't.
Yes, I mean, of course, I don't think, I think the best way for me to go around this is to reach out to my peers and have them give me a job description that already exists, because we don't have
Right,
one.
that's
There's
what
no
I-
reason, there wouldn't be a reason
Well,
to.
I can make up a job description, I just don't even know the format that the town looks for.
Yep, so I can easily do that, and again, I think that the more creative we are in when all of our i's are dotted and t's are crossed, the more likely that it would be accepted. But I'm not going, I wouldn't submit a proposal to hire somebody without covering all the logistics of the senior center too.
Right, agreed.
May I, and I'm not familiar with how the town would operate and whether they're open to like outsourcing some of these. You talked about, hey, what if the person is sick, or who would cover for them? But if you're open to kind of getting help from external organizations, that they should cover for that part-time role that we are looking for. I don't know how the town would operate, or whether they would consider having someone help us in this area.
So I can tell you with the conversations that I've had with the town manager's office is that there has to be a hired employee of the COA department at the senior center when it's open, unless like when Parks and Recreation comes in the evenings and they do their fitness classes, there's somebody hired from Parks and Recreation that comes. Or on the weekends when the Friends came in for their tea, there was somebody from Public Facilities there to make sure. So that I can tell you that I don't think that they would let us outsource another company to come in.
So when that happens in the evening, who covers the cost of that person that's there to open, close, and maintain?
Whatever department it falls under.
So if it's the Friends, they cover it, if.
No,
it-
the Friends are not employees of the town. So, again, so just like we did for the Spirit of Shrewsbury, and for that particular one, because they were utilizing transportation and things like that, we used the COA department and public facilities. So anytime that any kind of trash or any movement of equipment, public facilities needs to be involved. And then, so for instance, and so that's where the COA department, public facilities, helped out the Friends for that particular weekend. In the evenings, when they're doing their adult yoga and things like that, Parks and Recreation pays for those people that come over, so they're town employees, to come over and make sure that the senior center is open and closed.
Okay. So it would, I'm wondering if, I know you said you would strongly recommend a strategic plan consultant. I'm wondering if we could perhaps find someone that might incorporate some of the strategic plan needs and the marketing needs. Because I think if we could do some marketing as well, particularly to the age group that we're trying to reach right now, and looking at expanding the senior center hours, that would give us some great ideas, hopefully, as to how to best do that.
And I agree, because the strategic plan is looking at the next 3 to 5 years. So it might not be in FY '24 that this happens, but it could be in FY '25 or FY '26. I do agree that I think that if we hired a strategic plan consultant, they should be able to help us with the ideas behind the marketing part of it also. I have yet to reach out to the person that helped assist the Shrewsbury Library, only because we have not even had this, we haven't been able to talk about this on the agenda for quite a long time, but I can definitely get a hold of them also and keep the board.
Well, how do other board members feel about using some of the formula grant funds to hire someone to do strategic/marketing consulting?
Isn't like we are talking about spending this money by June, and hiring anyone might not be possible for that time frame.
Except that we'd be able to budget for that. So we'd be able to put that aside and carry that portion over to that.
Oh, okay.
So if we're able to do that, and we're wondering about being able to use up the amount of money that's left, the $57,000, could we not use some of this for the YMCA plan?
That's
And
so
then-
that's already
I
budgeted
know,
for
but then we would
FY '24.
open up more funding for fiscal year '24. Arun?
I don't know whether you're going to respond to that. No. So there's a lot of great ideas in this activities list, including like pickleball lessons. Some of them are strategic, some of them are tactical that we could kind of roll out fairly soon. So maybe it may be helpful to have a column saying, hey, should we focus on getting it in place before June? And you could provide your comments on it, saying that like field trips, say maybe is it worthwhile to do something like that for our seniors now. So maybe I'll add it with a sense of urgency to upload the document, and you would all go look at that and provide your feedback.
Okay. Alex?
Yeah, I think, we would need to get started on the process, which you're obviously already doing, and hiring the consultant. They're not going to propose the activities. They're going to propose a process, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, whatever they come up with to tackle the problem and put together a strategic plan and address whatever issues the board and staff come up with. But I think it's a great idea. I think it makes a lot of sense. It makes sense to do both a strategic plan plus marketing, public relations, publicity, those kinds of things. Yeah, and I'll just add one more thing about, an evening hours thing. We do need to do, address all the what if this and that happens, but that's just part of the process to brainstorm and come up with, what's feasible and what's not.
So part of the strategic planning process and part of the Council on Aging Department goals, what we did for FY '23 was we had the staff and I all put together exactly those, the strengths, the weaknesses, what our, what our threats are. So what we did was we looked at all of those that were put together when the strategic plan that is currently in place in 2019, and we were able to eliminate some that we felt pretty sure of that are no longer threats, or we added a lot of strengths. So we actually have that list already put together and ready to have a strategic consultant come in and utilize the work that the Council on Aging staff has already put together. So I think we're one step ahead. Now it's finding the right person to come in and sitting down. And I would like to request, just as they had done for the last strategic plan, I believe that there was at least 2 or 3 board members that had a tie into it when putting it together, and then of course voting on it with the whole entire board.
Arun?
Just to understand the process a little bit more, the strategic plan, is it like you said, it's a 3-year contract with the company, right? So they work for like long-term plans and process and other things for the senior center and COA. Is that kind of how they operate? Can you help me understand that?
Yes, so they're not, it's not a 3-year, so that we would hire them to come in, and what we do is we focus, as the Council on Aging Department, for the next 3 to 5 years. So then they put the strategic plan together, we constantly look at it to make sure that we're meeting the goals that we have or eliminating, again, the threats. But they're here for a short amount of time. They kind of help put all of the pieces together and work with our board and our department to make sure that we have all of the logistics covered, and that could be looking at FY '25 or whatever it might be, to being open a little bit later, increasing the number of staff. It could be a number of different opportunities for us.
Judy?
Wasn't the town working on a town-wide strategic plan? Are they requesting a strategic plan from us as part of that, or are they incorporating the Council of Aging in on that?
So the town has completed their strategic plan. I believe that there are copies throughout the senior center as well as town hall. And what the process is now is for departments to create a strategic plan that aligns with the town strategic plan. So thriving, community engagement, those are, the really the human resources part is where we are. And I don't know if I have it readily available, but, I probably don't. But the 2 goals going forward for the Council on Aging Department for FY '24, and I will share these slides with you, is part of the strategic plan. I got it right here. So for FY '23 accomplishments, and then the primary goals for FY '24, to meet the needs of the town strategic plan, we're engaged and connected. The COA will use the My Senior Center state reporting software for data collection to inform policy and estimate programs, center attendance, success, and needs in 3 categories, being outreach, nutrition, and programming. The second FY '24 strategic plan goal is to meet is for thriving, build on and create new COA outreach partnerships, offering resources for seniors 60+ to remain independent, safe, active, and healthy in the categories of health, fitness and wellness programs, transportation, volunteer and civic engagement, educational and arts, and public benefits counseling. So those would be some of our goals that we would work with the strategic plan consultant going forward that ties into the town strategic plan.
Mino, you had your hand up earlier.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, this consultant, we will be paying it from your budget, like the formula grant, right?
Correct.
The amount you have, and usually the consultants charge pretty good amount. So, and knowing that Renee and Holly have been doing such a good job with all the activities that are planned, does it make sense to waste money on a consultant when we have the resources in-house? We are only going to that direction because we are thinking of planning for evening hours, and we think we may require a couple of new resources, and some new process may change because the building needs to stay open. I mean, this is something in-house we can sort it out if possible. I mean, and like how Arun has some activities lined up, and we brainstorm it before we give the money away.
So just to remind you that the present strategic plan that we have was 2019 to 2023. One of the expectations from the town manager's office is that we maintain our strategic plan, our goals going forward, just as the library is doing, some other departments are doing it. I think that, so if you're thinking about the senior center not being open evening hours, that's a threat. Why is it a threat? Because we have the working seniors that need to come in. So that threat would be built into the strategic plan. So, and part of that is, it's a reminder that we're looking to make that, instead of a threat, an asset to us, and it would give us time to work on it. The strategic plan is to grow and build, not to sit and be stagnant. So I think that this is actually the perfect opportunity to have somebody come in, look at the old strategic plan, and help us create a new one for the next 5 years.
Alex?
I would agree with what Holly just said. No doubt the staff, if they had very little else to do, could do that, but I can't imagine how you could do that. And typically, you hire an outside consultant, someone to guide you through the process. Maybe the consultant that has worked with the town or worked with the library, they would propose, or we could get them to add that on to theirs. But it makes sense to use someone who has been through that process. And then they kind of give you a third-party view on what everyone comes up with and assembles it. So, I just can't imagine how the staff could do it.
My bad.
Well, we've helped build the pieces. It's kind, it's like I said, we've already taken our goals from this past year, the previous year, looked at the strategic plan that's already been created, and kind of taken it apart. And we've done so many great things that it's time to kind of put that down and see where it can expand or remain or anything like that. So I agree that I think we do need to hire that professional person that can come in and, make sure that it looks professional, and again, ties into the town strategic plan, I'm certainly not an expert in that in any ways, but I can come up with the different little items that, tie into it.
Judy?
Do we have any idea what the cost would be?
Not at this time. I can have that information for the April agenda meeting.
Is it possible to hire on a limited time frame?
I don't know. I don't know why we would do that. I think if we're going to hire somebody, we get the work done and get it completed so we can start implementing the plan. I know Renee had a question.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would think that with, when you're hiring a consultant, you're outlining the deliverables that you want from that consultant, and they're going to give you a price based on the work that they feel is going to be needed to deliver them.
Yes, I agree, but maybe we could get somewhere in that contract, we'd like this information within a certain time frame so that we can move forward with our expending our formula grant funds.
I'll make this a priority for the April agenda, and hopefully I'll reach out to the person that the library utilized and see what they come back with, and reach out, if anybody knows of one, please have them reach out to me, that we can look at the bids.
Okay. Renee?
I have a question that's off the top. It's still on the topic of the formula grant, but off the topic of the consultant. Regarding the congregate dining for the next year, Holly mentioned that that whatever might be left over, and potentially if we get an increase per senior from E EOEA. And I'm wondering if we shouldn't now consider if this is something we want to do to devote some of that money, because if we're saying we want to spend down the formula grant for this year, then there won't be anything left over to even consider that.
So the formula grant, as I stated before, for FY '24 is expended.
Right. This is for FY '23.
It's right. So I see, okay, I see what you're
To
saying.
carry
So
over.
taking whatever we
Right.
have right
Right.
now and
Right.
putting
To
some
plan
stuff.
on that, if that's something we want to do.
So habitually making perhaps November through March congregate meals
Uh-huh.
and limiting it. So I think each month we came up to, let's just round it up to say $700. So we could, in fact, take the $700 for the four months, November, December. Yeah.
Yeah, this was 700,
March.
yeah, so if it would be,
Yeah, I think congregate dining is pretty essential, or, you know, it's an important function.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it funded.
And where it attracted, more seniors to the center and different users, I think it's really a great marketing tool as well.
so it would only be about $3,000 maximum.
Roughly. My suggestion is, let's wait to see if the state passes it. Because if the state does not pass it, we can't expense it for FY '25. You know, 'cause we might not get the extra money. Do you know what I mean? So it might be good for only next year. So if we talk about transferring money over from FY '23 to FY '24 and planning it for FY '24, we can certainly do that. I just worry about budgeting something that's not a given yet.
Well, we did that for FY '23. We
Well-
budgeted something that wasn't a given for that, didn't we?
Well, no, not exactly, because we're trying to figure out how to expense the leftover formula grant right now. That's to the best for the senior community. I don't think I'm relaying exactly what I'm thinking in my head. So right now, each year, we get $79,000 and some change, we'll say. If the state comes back and gives us the extra monies, it's probably going to give us about another $20,000. What I would rather do before we vote on something for next winter is wait to see, for the state to say, yes, in fact, here is another, $20,000 for the town of Shrewsbury, and then I can build that into the FY '24 budget.
Judy?
Do we know when we will know from the state?
So according to the email, it doesn't really give us that, but I can tell you that I devised a letter to send to Senator Moore and Representative Kane to just inform them of this opportunity that's come up, and hopefully that they will come and support this to pass. And I'm guessing they have to let us know before June 30th, because it's for FY '24. And so that begins on July 1.
Okay.
So then if the budget doesn't, it's supposed to, I know the state budget is supposed to be done by June 30th. That doesn't always happen, but if in fact we have to wait until that point, we do need to expend the fiscal year '23 money before we get to that time frame.
Yes, but you're also talking about doing that for the the 2024 winter, or the end of 2023. And I also want to remind the board that we do have gift funds available. So if the funds aren't in the formula grant, there are gift funds available where we could put, $3,000 to $4,000 aside so it can happen. So we do have alternative options.
We have extra money from the town. Can that in any way be used to subsidize meals?
Extra money from the town?
The budget from the town budget?
That's already appropriated for different line items. I can't do that.
You can't do that, okay. So that money has to go back into
That money
the-
will go back.
Okay. Other comments?
We started talking about the strategic plan because we were talking about possibly hiring or considering hiring or proposing hiring a part-time person, and then that conversation kind of fell to the wayside. Is that something we're still considering and working on, or?
So at this moment, myself, Cynthia Willis, the transportation coordinator, and Kevin Miskar and a few others, we're talking about the possibility of what are our possibilities for looking at our transportation going forward. And so right now, hiring a part-time person is tabled at this moment.
But, okay, except that was, I think that was one of the questions that we were talking about as far as the formula grant money, so I'm not sure why it's tabled. It should be, a board discussion or decision if that's how we want to spend the formula grant money.
So I have spoken to the town manager about it, and again, I need more information before I can just go say that that we're looking to hire a new part-time person.
Of course, but I offered to help with that proposal. So if that's something the board wants to consider, I don't think we should just dismiss it out of hand.
I don't think the board has stopped or has negated that. I thought we were still
Trying to put back on the.
moving forward with, let's get someone on board to help with a strategic/marketing plan and.
Oh, no, but there's two things. Are we getting someone to help with the strategic marketing plan, or are we getting a part-time person to help us help us keep the senior center open for longer hours? Those are two separate proposals or
But I
suggestions.
think the second one is premature until we
That's
know
what I'm
that we
asking.
need
That's what
someone
I'm asking.
before we identify how we are going to keep the senior center open and for what purposes.
So the
Yeah,
town,
that's,
Okay.
the town manager's office is aware of our needs, what we want to do, and again, there's processes for everything. And right now, we're still trying to just fill in the other full-time person that we're trying to concentrate on. It's been a long 6 months for myself and the rest of the COA staff taking on additional responsibilities. So I feel as though I'll definitely have more time once March is over, because March has brought additional things to my plate that I haven't been able to concentrate on other things that we've discussed.
So we have about 10 minutes left before our meeting time is over. And I don't know if there's any further discussion about some of the items on our Director's Report number 5, whether you want to talk at all about the outdoor gym or more about the community market, community garden. Are there any other thoughts people would like to share? Okay, so community garden is in the process of being developed.
So community garden is off the ground. Like I said, we have the 3 designers that came. I'm waiting to get information from 2 of them. What I'm hoping from the meeting on Monday is, what I'm looking for is a vision. What is our vision? And then eventually taking the designs that are brought to us, and is it something that we see at the senior center? So we might not move forward with the community garden, I'm not quite sure, but I figured for that one, seeing how unbelievably awesome the raised garden beds were, and they were teeny tiny, I can't imagine what a bigger garden would bring for people, and bringing in the community to help with that.
Has there been any interest in the outdoor gym?
That is just something, that is something that I'm starting to see pop up in a lot of other towns. I don't know if you're familiar with an adult gym, but Worcester Senior Center partnered with AARP, and they have an amazing outdoor gym at their senior center. that you can go right online, you can all you have to do is go into Google and type in senior center outdoor gym, and all of the information pops up. But there's more and more towns that are offering something like that. And I don't know, I started to research a couple of the recreational design websites, and most of them are located in Boston. And I have built playgrounds before in previous jobs, and there's a lot of work required because it's about who you're hiring to put it in, what the cost is going to be, the maintenance part of it. But I thought, what the heck, we've got these funds, and maybe it's something we could partner with the Parks and Recreation if they have extra funds, and do a collaboration and share the expenses. And that is something that I was planning on bringing up on my meeting on Friday with PNR.
Okay. I've read a lot about outdoor gyms for the seniors, and I think it's a great idea, and it factors into the need that you would like to see met, Judy, which is for the younger person moving into the senior ages. Okay. Any further items under formula grant expenditure? Moving on to new business. Is there any new business? Old business. There being none, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? So moved. Meeting is adjourned at 10:05. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.